I got the countdown. I believe we are on. Hey everybody, I'm Eric. Welcome to another fascinating edition of Depth of Field. Joining me today, cross-eyed and well-rested, is my main man, Ben, who you may know from nothing because he never appears on screen. But he is the brains behind, one of the brains behind the whole Beanduck operation. Ben, stop it with the eyes, it's freaking me out.
Sorry.
And this is exciting because this is our Comic-Con edition.
Yeah.
And we're just coming off 3 days of insanity. And it was my first Comic-Con ever.
Which is insanity in and of itself.
Yeah, and so Ben says to me, yeah, so you're not really a geek, are you? And I said, yeah, but I love Rush and have loved Rush since forever. And Ben said, yeah, but they're a rock band. And I'm trying to convince him, if you guys are fans of Rush out there, that liking Rush is pretty damn geeky, especially when you see them in their kimonos in the 1970s.
I just like if liking Rush is, equivalent to like, well, listen.
You said The Hobbit. You said, is it like a...
I said well, Neil Peart's not a Hobbit, but like...
he basically, I mean, he wrote lyrics that were as Hobbit-like as you could imagine.
Like, I'm really just like, pulling your leg here. I agree that you can be a geek about anything, like anything. That's, like, you don't necessarily have to be into science fiction or fantasy or video games or comic books or whatever to be a geek. Like, I would say I have friends who are like musical theater geeks.
Right.
Or who, are Rush geeks or whatever,
So maybe we should just replace geek with passionate.
But I think that's what geek means.
Yeah.
I think that's what geek means, is when you're like uber passionate about something to the point of
obsession and
or maybe more than obsession, just like, wanting to celebrate it.
The Emerald 97 says it's very geeky for music.
For music, yeah.
It's they're about as geeky as you can get, unless you're like the other side of geeky music. Actually, this is a great question for the chat because, by the way, we're going to be doing a lot of chatting today.
Sure.
So tell us your thoughts on what is the geekiest music there is. I'm going with Rush, but that's also the music that I love the most.
I mean, I love musical theater, so like that's.
Oh, Julian says Weird Al. I think the only time I've been freaked out, like meeting someone in person, was Weird Al.
I think you told this story before.
Yeah, and I'm so boring that you're yawning.
No, I'm sorry.
We're on the air and you're yawning.
I'm sorry.
What a producer.
Mono.
You have mono.
I had mono though, like 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, too much making out.
Yeah, seriously.
So what we're going to do is we're going to run the interview that I did with Tristan D, Lalla, and Amber Goldfarb. We talked about all things geekery. And
an excellent interview.
Oh, thank you very much. And we're also going to participate. I love saying participate in the chat.
I feel like you say participate so much that like now when you're trying to say participate,
exactly.
You mistakenly say participate.
It's the Schmengi brothers. Speaking of geekery, SCTV, they participate. But we're going to participate in the chat with you guys. This is one of those rare times that I'll get to actually write. So as we're playing the interview,
I'll get my laptop also on.
Let us know your thoughts. Before we get into Comic-Con, though, and I want to know, did you have fun at Comic-Con?
I had so much fun at Comic-Con. I always have fun at Comic-Con.
What was your highlight?
Well, this was a very different Comic-Con for me than ever before because, like, we had a lot going on. We've had stuff going on before, like when we used to produce LARPs, we used to do stuff, but like, this is the first time we had like lots of different things going on. Like we had your panel, we had Rosie's panel, we had a lot of different people involved with Beanduck in various different ways on different panels. Like you had other stuff going on, and Rosie also had other stuff going on as well. We went around with Rosie for 2 days, interviewing other cosplayers. So like it was very different. Like I've never really worked that much, at least not at Montreal Comic-Con. However, I did also buy a piece of Legend of Zelda artwork.
Ooh.
That is here in the office somewhere. Maybe we'll have photos of it up later.
Or we'll bring it out.
Or we'll bring it out
Yeah,
later.
exactly. Is it that huge thing over there? No.
It's nearby something. Oh, you getting
Someone's
it?
going to get something.
And we could even shout out the artist.
Oh, cool. Well, this is exciting. Awesome. Okay.
It's on the back of it. It's on the.
Oh, wow.
This. This way.
Oh my God, that's pretty awesome, actually.
Mind frame?
So that's made out of what?
Well, this is wood,
Yeah.
and then this is nails, and then those are strings.
So wood, nails, and strings. Pretty awesome.
Fun fact, I'm made of the same 3 things.
Well, we're all made of carbon, right?
Yes.
Speaking of
Thanks,
geeking
Liz.
out, I mean, to me, it was the coolest thing of all time because I got to not only to meet Lou
You had a
Ferrigno,
pretty good first ever Montreal Comic-Con.
I got to host the Lou Ferrigno panel. And 2 questions. Ben, did you cosplay? This is from Emerald. Ben, did you cosplay? And Eric, what did you think of seeing the level of cosplay at Comic-Con? I was blown away. Do we have, are we able to show some of the photos, Julian?
Yeah.
Okay, so I took some photos of some of the cosplay. Why don't you just throw one up and I'll say what I think of it. Just let me know which one we're putting up there.
Okay, we got a little slideshow.
All right, so a slideshow.
This is,
Let me see.
the guy with the mask looking at a cell phone.
Oh, so this is Michael Myers Swipes Right. I just thought, one thing that I loved about Comic-Con was seeing all these people in costume, but then sometimes like one would play, one would have a conversation with, I think, yes. So there's also me and Lou Ferrigno on stage. There's Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
She was pretty amazing. I mean, the level of...
Pretty sure we did an interview with that Poison Ivy.
Really?
Yeah.
But Michael Myers looking at his cell phone, that's just
Hysterical.
tremendous. Me with Lou Ferrigno. Did you also see the Hellboy in there?
Nope. Not
Okay, there was some. I mean, there was some fantastic cosplay.
Yeah.
It did get me. It did get me cosplay curious.
Like you might potentially try some cosplay light someday soon, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I want to go on Rosie's show because she's been on mine, so I want to go on her show.
For
So
sure.
maybe in doing so,
You'd have to have something to like craft while you're on there. Oh, there's the Hellboy.
Oh, there's Hellboy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy was super cool. But like I said, what I really loved was Michael Myers on his cell phone because you're kind of like, there's real world mixing with Comic-Con world. You're peering behind the curtain. I thought it was awesome.
You know what I think would be a good thing for you to try to do your own interpretation of, as maybe potentially your first cosplay, light cosplay, whatever, Rocket Raccoon.
Why specifically Rocket
Voiced
Raccoon?
by
There you go, the
Bradley
guy,
Cooper.
my good-looking doppelganger.
Yeah,
Right.
I only reference Eric's good-looking doppelganger.
But it's okay to talk about my other doppelganger.
No.
He's very funny.
He is, it's true.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper's funny too, though.
But this will all come up, actually, for you to know who we're talking about. You got to watch the interview that we will show with Tristan and Amber, which is coming up very soon.
Yep.
Should we get right to it, or should I talk about the movies I've seen recently?
How about
Well, Mr. Director Man, what do you think?
if you want to give a 30-second of all the movies,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to
All right. So I've seen a couple of movies lately. I took a bit of a break from movie seeing in the last couple of weeks, but more recently I saw Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Oh.
I saw Toy Story 4,
Oh.
and I saw Midsommar.
Oh.
And okay, so to sum up each one in like 30 seconds, and I would love to know what you guys think. So if you guys have seen them, let us know in the chat, and we'll
Hashtag
we'll
no
be chatting.
spoilers.
No spoilers, yeah. So Far From Home, a little bit underwhelming.
Surprising,
I have to be honest. Just because I think now Spider-Man, the way
your expectations are so high now?
yeah, and I do love Tom Holland. I think he's the best Spider-Man.
Well, you know what? I think, so I'm going to see it in 2 days on Thursday, and I think I'd rather hear you say that, and so maybe on some subconscious level, that's a good call, actually.
The Emerald 97 says I could totally see Eric rocking a Constantine cosplay. He could rock a trench coat. I rock a trench coat like no other.
I hope you
just ask
don't
the kids
rock
at the school. That's a terrible thing to say.
trench
Come
coat.
on, I'm just kidding.
Anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hope that maybe on some subconscious level, hearing you say that like maybe helps like lower my expectations of the movie. You know what I mean? I'll let you know.
It's not terrible. Like it's just that I found it because I really liked the last
Homecoming,
one,
yeah.
and I thought, Into the Spider-Verse was just such a mind-blowing Spider-Man experience and also I think the fatigue is setting in.
Okay.
I think a little bit of Marvel fatigue is setting in.
Okay.
Toy Story 4
Yeah.
was also again because hey, you guys put in the voice booth. Awesome. Okay.
There's a giant booth in the room. Eric's.
Hey, you put it in. Toy Story, because Toy Story 3 was great for adults. Like it was so existential and fucked up.
Yeah.
And Toy Story 4, I think, was once again going back to for the kids.
A little bit more to a return to the traditional like Toy Story format. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
But Duke Kaboom, played by Keanu Reeves, was spectacularly
Can't wait.
awesome. And I posted something today on Facebook that I loved. That was someone came up with the idea that Adam Driver is like someone trying to draw Keanu Reeves' face from memory.
No, I saw you post that probably. I was like, I saw somebody post that. Like it must be you. That was very funny.
Yeah, and so Keanu Reeves makes Toy Story 4. But the movie that I've seen recently that has stuck with me, Eric's caffeine starts working, says Ravana, right? I don't drink caffeine, actually. I wish I did. Or I don't drink coffee.
Sure.
And you give me a Red Bull, I'm all good.
He just injects caffeine directly into his veins.
Midsummer.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
So Jess from Full Party saw it the other day. She also walked in and said like, oh, it was amazing.
Like you don't understand. This movie has stayed with me so much. It's so dark, but it takes place in the land of the midnight sun. So it's there's a luminescence that's really creepy. And you know, early on in the movie, they take some mushrooms, and there's a lot of trippiness that happens that you're supposed to kind of be brought into the trip.
Sure.
But I think over the course of the movie, you don't even realize it's happening. The background gets really kind of, you know, breathy and
is it like
unstable?
I mean, I think I'm definitely gonna see it. I mean, my dad, my brother, and I often go see horror movies together, so it's kind of like a Warner bonding experience. Would you say that aspect of it is similar to like? I'm sure you've seen. Oh my gosh! Come on, what's the movie?
Get Out.
The drug movie. The drug movie. No. Yeah, Requiem for a Dream.
Right. No, it's because it's a different kind of drug. Requiem for a Dream is heroin, right?
Well, Requiem for a Dream, you could argue all 4 different main characters are going through different drug experiences. And Darren Aronofsky is trying to, in each one of their stories, bring you through the experience of taking that drug.
Well, I've heard there's a movie that came out this year called Climax from Gaspar Noé that I haven't seen, which apparently this is very similar to. But this is very specifically a psychotropic, psychedelic, like you know when.
Very curious.
I don't know if you've ever been on mushrooms, but like when the trees start breathing.
Only
like,
Portobello.
Not that I've done mushrooms or anything, but anyways, keep the comments coming. Go see Midsummer because it will stay with you. It's such a fucked up movie. And now I'm proud to present my interview with Tristan D, Lalla, and Amber Goldfarb, direct live from Comiccon.
I'm gonna get my laptop. We're all gonna chat.
We're gonna chat. Chat it up.
Chatty.
Rolling.
Hellboy. That is a cool Hellboy.
That guy was awesome.
We're still on.
We're having some technical difficulties,
it's okay.
But I'm back.
Oh, there's my hair.
Hey, there you are. So, have you seen any movies lately?
Man, I've been like, especially considering I am a filmmaker. Although, I can't say.
Oh, why?
The name. You'll see an interview soon that Eric did with somebody.
Oh, you saw the movie?
No, not
okay,
that.
Right, yeah.
But
no, we can. I think we can announce it, unless you guys.
I don't
want
think
to
so.
keep it.
Not yet. Not yet. But in that interview, I'll tell you. I'll say this is it when it happens. The person Eric interviews says that they don't watch any movies. Remember that part of that
Yes,
interview?
I do. Yeah.
So it's funny that like I'm always in my head about like I'm a filmmaker. Shouldn't I watch more movies than just the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies? But like when that person said to you that they don't watch movies, I was like, okay, maybe it's a legitimate thing that you could choose not to watch movies. Anyways,
I was very surprised about that comment, by the way.
My point is, this is a bit of a long walk. I apologize, but my point is like I find like I don't watch movies other than the Marvel movies. Like I'm just so obsessed. I'm such a fanboy of those movies.
Did you see the latest? Did you see Dark Phoenix?
Not.
Do you consider that a Marvel movie?
It is a Marvel movie, of course,
Yes.
but it's not a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. When the MCU, the Kevin Feige-led movies, reboot, because they now have the property, they now own the property.
Yeah.
When they reboot the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and those characters, then that will be incorporated into the MCU, of course.
I'm curious if any of you guys have seen Dark Phoenix. Let us know in the chat. But for now, technical difficulties avoided, averted, and put away.
All right.
And we're ready for this wonderful interview from Comic-Con just a few days ago, fresh out of the oven. Here's Amber, Tristan, and myself. We'll get it one of these days.
We'll get it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Depth of Field. My name is Eric Cohen, and we are live today at Comiccon in Montreal. This is a very exciting time because we get to do this. Normally we do it in a small room with nobody around and no idea if there's anybody reacting except for on the chat. This time we're doing it differently. There's no chat live in the room, but there's people here and we get to talk in person. And I'm very excited about the two guests that I have today, two luminaries of the Montreal acting scene, Amber Goldfarb, Tristan D. Lalla. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us. Is this on? Is this on?
Are we good? Are we good?
Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay.
All right, so first and foremost, I should say, premièrement, si vous parlez français, ayez pas peur de demander des questions en français. I'll translate. Please do ask questions if you want. Just raise your hand and we'll bring them back to you. We're going to talk about acting in movies, in TV shows, in video games especially. We're going to talk about your respective careers, what it's like to be an actor in Montreal, because it's very different being an actor here than anywhere else, and also being at Comic-Con. So I think we should start with the subject at hand. We're here at Comic-Con. Comic-Con is a gathering of, and I mean this in the most respectful way ever. It's a gathering of geeks. So do you guys feel that is this a comfortable place for you guys to be?
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just saying when I came in, I saw a parade of Groots, from baby Groots to big Groots, and I just felt at home. So yeah. I wish when I was a kid I was into it like I am now, but I love it. It's like Halloween. It's like Christmas. It's everything.
So it's something that developed for you. You weren't into this stuff when you were younger.
I was, but I didn't know that I was allowed to partake in it, being a different type of geek. So as I grew, I was like, oh, I'm allowed to take my space in this space, and I found my love of it. So, yeah.
What about you?
So I discovered, is this actually on?
Yeah.
It is, okay.
Are you hearing it on the cameras?
Yay.
Hey, okay, awesome.
So I discovered Comic-Cons when I did a tour for Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, because I played the first female protagonist in the Assassin's Creed series, and so I went on this tour with Cass Anbar, who plays Altair, and we did a bunch of cons together, and I totally fell in love with it because everyone just gets to parade their geekery and be proud of it and share it, and it's celebrated, and
It's like a safe space.
it's a safe space
for
for
celebrating
geekery,
geek.
basically. and I loved seeing people's, like, all the cosplayers and all the work that goes into the costumes and the detail and attention that goes into it, and it blows me away. Like, that's honestly one of my favorite parts. Just talking to people, like, how did you make that, and how much time did you spend on it? And
Well, this is my first Comic-Con ever, and I'm just like, I'm walking around. It's fascinating. It's overwhelming. It's exciting. There's so much to see. It's like it's literally a cornucopia of all kinds of different styles and costumes and influences. And something that you said, Tristan, made me think about a discussion I had recently that geekery is it used to be something that you wanted to hide. Right? It used to be something that people weren't necessarily, you didn't want to parade it around like a peacock. But now it is, it was a subculture, and now it's mainstream culture. And I'm wondering what, because of what? Is it the success of the Marvel movies? Is it the success of gaming as an industry? What made all of this so popular that it's not a subculture?
This sounds wow. Good morning. This sounds kind of fucked up, but people are smart.
Mm-hmm.
Society is.
That's not fucked up. I mean, that's...
No, but society sometimes is not.
Yeah.
And I think it took the world a while to catch up with the wave that people are smart. And smart is cool, and smart can make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not embrace that and show it off in all its different colors and shapes? So I think it's now really, like, diversity is this hot topic. I know diversity to be a state I create by entering a room. Not just a topic, right? But it's
a physical state.
But it's now become this, like, diverse, and we're really starting to embrace that in the industry, especially. So I think the wave of that is now catching on, and it's cool to be uncool.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hashtag cool to be uncool.
You could use that.
Okay. And so, Okay, your first Comic-Con was how many years ago?
It would have been in 2013.
Oh wow, I bet it's changed a lot since then too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've done Comic-Cons all over the world?
All over North America.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you've done San Diego Comic-Con?
No.
Okay.
No,
Is that the dream?
I mean, I would love to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a massive one. The advantage with the smaller ones is that it's just more intimate. You get to talk to people more. It's not like these crazy lines that you have to just plow through and sign quickly. Like you can stop and have a conversation with each person that you meet. And that's really special for what we do because unless it's theater where you get to greet your audience after the show, I mean, the bulk of what I do is film, TV, and video games. I don't get to meet my audience unless it's interacting on social media. So the only face-to-face contact that I have with my audience is at cons and at events like this. And we get to have a conversation and people say like, I love this moment and this really resonated and this I didn't like and whatever. We talk about it and that's really cool.
Well, you know, I also imagine that you get recognized sometimes for TV and film roles, but it's hard to get recognized from video game roles. But that's really, you guys are very unique in that you're like huge video game stars. But it's maybe hard for people to recognize you because, you know, it's your voice or mocap suits. So you're kind of afforded the luxury to have a certain anonymity and also be so pervasive in the video game culture.
Especially when it comes to games, like we've done a lot of work together throughout our careers so far, and I know when I'm playing a game or I hear a game, I'm like, oh, that's Amber, oh, that's Sean, oh, that's whoever, because I could tell how people walk, I could tell how people like fight or scream or grunt or die.
Really?
Yeah. I could see characters I play, I'm like, oh, I played that guy, because he has kind of his upper body is like, and you can tell sometimes. And the fans who follow games and the gamers especially, they know whose voice is in what universe, and it becomes this like ecosystem that kind of feeds off of itself.
I was just gonna say, another thing with working in games is that you share your role in many ways. Like, not only do you share the character with a stunt performer who's going to be doing the gameplay and who's going to be doing all the crazy stunts that they don't want you to do because of the liability if you injure yourself, but you're also sharing it with potentially other actors that are just, you know, for time constraints, doing parts of the role. Like I worked for 2 years on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, playing Lara Croft, but it's not my voice. And at the end of the day, I mean, the Onos are and all the grunts are me, but people don't play the game and go, oh, that's Amber, but I spent 2 years of my life working on that.
But isn't there a story where you weren't even supposed to, that you were like the scratch vocal and they liked your grunts so much?
Yeah, what happened is that they hired me because, so Camilla Luddington is on Grey's Anatomy.
Hashtag they liked your grunts.
They liked my grunts. She's on Grey's Anatomy, her availabilities are limited, so they were like, why don't we hire, and they shoot with her in LA, but Idaho is, you know, is based here, and they were like, why don't we hire an actress who can do the scenes that we don't need Camilla for, like the smaller cinematics or little pickups from cinematics and stuff like that. And also, when they do their vertical slice of the game, like they will do like a third of the game and then test it and work on it and perfect it. And so for each vertical slice, they're like, let's record it with another actress and then we'll re-record with Camilla. And so I did that. So I recorded the whole game. I did everything. Everything.
That's what took the 2 years.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
And then when they were done and they tested and they polished it, then they would re-record with her. And likewise, if they had to pick up a scene or do a cinematic that it was like, we don't need her for that, she can just do the VO, they would do it with me. But I still had to learn all the lines. I still had to do everything. Like, so all I had to say is that I shared in some way that role with her, and then the stunt performer, like Karine Lemieux, who did these crazy badass fight sequences. So it's kind of humbling in a way because it's not about, oh, it's me, it's my character, and I'm gonna shine in this role and everyone's gonna recognize me. Like, you do the work for the sake of the work. I would show up every day being like, I get to play fucking Lara Croft, and this is so much fun, and it doesn't matter if people know it's me at the end of the day. It's just about, like, I get to play in a sandbox, and I get paid to do it. It's kind of crazy.
And fun story.
You know?
I did the voices for Jonah, the temp, before that actor recorded them for 2 years as well. So I was listening to Amber's voice when I was recording that part, And we did AC3 Liberation together. I play Agate, who's her mentor, who's Abelin's mentor. So like, I've spent a lot of time listening to Amber's voice and then responding to it with her not even being there. So a lot of what we do vocally in games is sometimes not even together.
Right.
You emotionally have to connect with people auditorially, is that's not a word?
Yeah.
It's not a word.
It is now.
Hashtag it's a word. So yeah, you have to connect through the emotion that you hear and that you feel in your headphones.
Well, this makes me think of the first guest that we had on Depth of Field. And if any of you are not aware of the show Depth of Field, it's a show that we do on Twitch. It's every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. We live stream and we talk about all things movie related. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be about movies. For example, we're talking video games today, but it's video game acting. And sometimes we talk to editors, and sometimes we talk to movie trailer directors, or it's a wide spectrum. Where was I going? Yes. So the first episode that we did was with Sean Beichu, and he's a great video game actor and stunt coordinator. Iconic,
Legend.
yeah. Who's also doing a lot of stuff here at Comiccon.
Yeah,
and he told me this amazing story that, which game was it? Do you guys remember?
Outlast.
Outlast. So Outlast 2, I think, right?
Yeah.
Where he had to do an entire orgy scene himself. So he had to do all the mocap for the different people and then do all the voices for the different people, but all himself. And so, that must be...
So basically he had sex with himself.
Yes.
I mean, the one time he pissed me off, I was like, Sean, go fuck yourself. But take it literally. Did you say that? I said it, fuck it.
No, yeah, fuck it. That's the beauty of Depth of Field, by the way. We like to swear. We like swearing. May I remind you again, if you have any questions at any time, just raise your hand and we'll get the mic to you. In the meantime, so we were talking about grunts and Sean and orgies. I don't know where I'm going with this. But let me ask you about some of the characters that you guys have played, because, oh yes, no, I do remember. You were talking about Assassin's Creed and about Lara Croft. Lara Croft, I guess?
Lara.
Yeah, okay. I like to say Laura, because I'm badass. I'm wondering, both of those turned into movie properties. Have either of you seen either of those movies?
I haven't.
Yes.
Okay, well that's okay. So Tristan, I'm curious your impressions of how, of the movie treatment of these games. Did they work?
Be specific.
Okay. Okay, let's start with Lara Croft, the most recent one.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Did she do it? She did a great
A
job.
lot of fun.
Yeah. What about the first one?
I saw it.
Okay, great. And how about Assassin's Creed?
I also saw that film.
Moving
I played in
on.
8 of the video games, and I played leads in 3 of them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so I know what to move on. Let me ask you about the characters that you guys have played, and maybe some of the favorite games that you guys have done. You have some iconic roles under your belt. Can you list them for our audience? Your favorites, let's say.
My favorites, well, Aveline de Grandpré, the one I mentioned earlier in Assassin's Creed. Obviously, Lara Croft.
Laura.
I got to play Batgirl in the Arkham Knight, in one of them, not in all of them. So yeah, those are really cool. But I've done 9 of the Assassin's Creed games. In Black Flag, I played. I did the mocap for most of the women because they were basically. This is the interesting part about video games, how you can have an international cast that can record parts of the games in different parts of the world and then put it all together in the same scene. Basically, because in Black Flag they had so many different accents, they wanted to, accents, I said that weirdly, they wanted to hire people that actually had those native accents. So whether it be a Cockney or Irish or whatever it may be, so they flew in a bunch of actors from the UK. But they didn't fly in everyone. And then they were just like, Amber, you're gonna play all these women. I'm like, okay. And I still had to do all of the accents, right, and learn all the lines, because it all had to match, the rhythm and the cadence, it all had to match. But then one of the characters, I remember, it was for Caroline Scott, who plays Ken Wei's wife. I had done all those scenes and they were re-recording the voice of the actress, but they really liked, we did full performance capture, so they got my voice, they got my face, my body, everything.
As you were doing the voices.
As I was doing everything.
Yeah.
But they were re-recording the lines with her so that they could get her native accent. And it was easier to sync her lips with her facial, but they really liked what I'd done with my eyes, so they decided to keep my eye movement, so half of my face and half of her face and then all of my body. So literally, if you're playing the game, you see Caroline Scott, it's an amalgamation of me and another actress. I mean, like, in what other field can you do that?
Right, yeah.
And that's the other thing I wanted to mention too. When I was saying about sharing your role, you share your role with the animators too.
Right.
Like, you know, we've gone from keyframe animation to mocap, but it's still a part of the process. It's not the finished process. They add things, they move things, they change things, and that's an important part. That's an important distinction between acting in games and acting for the camera. Is that you have to keep in mind that certain things that you do may not translate the way it would on film, and also understand that there's certain moves that you'll do that could be really challenging for the animator to finesse, especially with like hand movements and stuff like that, because they don't have the same precision. Like when we do mocap here, usually only 2 of our fingers are marked, so they're only getting the data of 2 of our fingers. So if I'm touching my hair, like try animating hair. Like it's not easy. They actually do it really well in Tomb Raider, I find, but a lot of times hair is pretty stiff and hands can look kind of rigid unless
Like
the animators have enough time.
Just like touching spaghetti.
Yeah.
A baseball touching
Basically.
spaghetti.
It's like a big old like monkey paw. Just
Right.
like, it's really difficult.
That's it. So like that's kind of a technical element that when I'm doing film and TV I don't think about, but when I'm doing mocap, I'm thinking about like, okay, what am I doing here, and how is that going to affect the work that the animator then has to do?
Well, I want to ask you guys about playing yourself in the game, like playing the actual game when you're the character, but I still want to hear about some of your favorite
Yeah, so I've done about 46 games to date.
Jeez.
I play Agate in Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, Avelin's mentor. In AC4 Black Flag, I play Adewale. In Freedom Cry, I also play Adewale, and in Rogue, I'm Adewale. In AC Pirates, I play Juamo. In AC Origins, I play Taharka. And I do some stuff in Unity and some other stuff. I'm in all the Deus Ex games, I'm in all the Far Cry games. There's a lot of games. But I think I was telling you the story, like it's hard for me to play, when I played AC Rogue, spoiler alert, it's been out for 5 years, if you haven't played it, it's not a spoiler. So Adewale dies, and you have to kill him as the player. I know, how dare they? Dare Ubisoft. So they kill him, but when I was playing,
You couldn't do it.
They said press X, and I said no. And I turned off the game, and I'm like, I'm not killing myself. So
Is that like a superstitious thing, or?
no, it's like he brought me so much joy in my life, and I'm like, I'm not killing him. I know how the story ends. I'm not doing it. So I just stopped playing the game.
But you are a gamer, and you have been, because we were discussing a little bit before, and like prepping for this, and you were saying that you got into games as a result of acting in games. You, Tristan, you were always a gamer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I can think back to like playing Contra with my brother and my cousins,
Nice.
or like all the Marios, Super Marios.
Zaxxon?
Oh man.
Greatest fucking
River City
game.
Ransom. If y'all know River City Ransom, that's my game, right?
Cosmic Adventure.
So yeah, it's like I grew up being that kid who was in the back who wasn't allowed to play. And my brother was like, killing the game, and I'm like, no, jump. I've always been a great wingman. But it's like when I was allowed to hold a controller, it was like a whole new world. No Aladdin. So it was great to finally be able to go into games, having my love of games already like existing in me.
And your journey is a different one.
Yeah, my journey was totally different. So, and before I forget, I wanted to mention that in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I also played Koryanka in the DLC. So you get to do co-op with Lara.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So those days when I was shooting, they were like, okay, you're not Lara today, you're actually Koryanka. And I'm like, but wait, can I be both? No, they were in the scene together. the same time.
Have you ever had to fight yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, So
Kind of like Sean Bachu, but a whole different...
Okay, so speaking of Sean Bachu, so Sean also did, we worked together on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, so he did a bunch of the mocap for Jonah, and a million other characters, but we had to do a scene where she's fighting a jaguar. And we basically, at one point, I was being attacked by a jaguar, which was Sean with a mat attacking me. And at another point, I got to play the jaguar. So, like, I just started to think about it. I'm like, what jobs do you get to go to work, get attacked by a jaguar, and be a jaguar? It's like, it's very...
Well, my first question is, how do you play a jaguar?
I don't remember what it was that I had to do. Like, it's ringing some vague bells, but because we end up doing like a bunch of random stuff, it's like, oh.
Now you're gonna be a pigeon. Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, it was probably for like only, and it may have only been for Sean's coverage at one point. I can't remember, but I know that I definitely played a jaguar at one point. Whether they kept the mocap for it, I cannot attest to. Where was I going with this?
We were talking about. Hold on.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. My experience with games.
Yeah.
So it was really funny. So my fiance is here and is a gamer. Yay! At one point we got into it, we started talking about games, and he was like, "You are the most gamer, knowledgeable non-gamer I've ever spoken to." Because I learned games from the inside out, and he learned them from the outside in.
Oh, that's so interesting.
You know what I mean?
Right. And
so I had to figure it out. Like the first game that I did, I was like, wait, how does this piece together? What's gameplay? What's a cutscene? What's this like? But then I would like watch walkthroughs, and then when AC3 came out, of course I had to play it. So I played it, and I was like, wow, this is like really addictive.
What was it like for you the first
thing.
time when you were like playing yourself?
It was strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really strange. It's pretty trippy, you know?
I can imagine.
Yeah, I kind of felt like you're stepping into this like alter ego. Yeah, like I think in some ways it's similar to what like LARPing would feel like in live action role playing, because it's a persona of you in a way, like there's elements of you, but you're putting on this character. But then it was like my voice, and then like I said, seeing what the animators did with it, which was like, oh, they added that, or they didn't keep that.
Are you ever pissed? Are you ever like, what the fuck? Whoa, my hair's not spaghetti, or you know?
There's been instances where I'm like, oh, they probably weren't given enough time to fine tune that. Like there was one scene that I've spoken about this before, where because Adeline has different personas. So there's one where she's like a lady, and so we worked out these kinds of like different postures and way of moving for the different personas. And so I did a pose where it was kind of like this, and I had my hand up in the air. But then when I saw the way it was done, it was like this. So like I'm walking around the scene, and I was like, oh no, they
like a jaguar.
Yeah, and, yeah.
Because that's how jaguars look when they're walking elegantly.
Like Thriller Jaguar.
That's hilarious. Which is also why they reference now like games always whenever we're shooting, although they're getting us like a digital 360 where they can have any angle they want, whether it be a close-up or a wide. They also have reference cameras seeing what we do, so that the animators can watch that and be like, oh, her hand was kind of like delicately, so they don't have that reference, they don't know. Because like I said, they're getting 2 fingers, so maybe what they got was like,
maybe they should get one.
Like this. They may have just gotten this, or like, like they may have received a weird thing. They're like, what is she doing?
So is there like an earpiece that they can say, can you, change your finger placement?
No, we just do it again. Like, okay, it's like theater, like you have one long take.
Yeah.
There's no like stop and go, which is great, but also like if you have 18 pages, you're doing 18 pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over and over, again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to.
Pages. And you have to learn, and that's lines or that's physical?
It's everything.
Oh.
It's like a live performance that's recorded and very intimate and very public at the same time.
Well, that's again one of the biggest differences between doing film and TV versus mocap. How are we for time?
Oh, we're good. I think we have a question.
Okay, I'll finish this and then. So,
That's how we.
so when you shoot a scene for the camera, like we'll do the wide, the master, where we see the whole action of the scene, and then if like it's a scene between me and Tristan, you'll punch in for like the single coverage. So we'll have a medium shot of him, and then a medium shot of me, and then the close up of him, and a close up of me. So when all's said and done, we've changed lighting setup several times for the different shots, and we've also done multiple takes because you want at least 2 takes of each of the coverage, right? Whereas with Mocap, you are doing the whole scene at once with everyone's coverage and every angle possible.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they can punch in if they want. Like they could, if initially they'll have an idea of how they want it to play in the game, right? How they want the cutscene to be, but they could change their mind and be like, actually, we're gonna do it really. We want this moment to be a close-up, which for us, and that's why people ask me, like, how do you act differently in video games versus for the camera? And for me, it's like a marriage of theater and film acting in my close-up, because when you're doing full performance capture, you've got a camera right here that's getting a close-up at all times, but they're also getting a wide at all times, and you need to be fully alive and active doing both, but without pushing, because if you're doing it too big, then it looks pushed in the camera. So it's
a delicate.
It's a delicate balance.
Whenever people ask me that same question, it's like good connected acting is good connected acting. Good is good, and so there's no like I do this for games, I do this for film, I do this for TV, I do this for theater. It's you tell the story in whatever way you have to, and then you adjust as you go. But there's no rules, there's no formula.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
Exactly, and that's the other amazing thing about it is that you don't have to wait for lighting setups. So you can shoot so much more in a day. You're not waiting for each different setup. You don't have to do a costume change and fix hair and makeup. It's, for me, what I love about it is that it's acting at its purest. I'm not thinking about how I look. I'm not thinking if my, face is oily or if my concealer is, like creasing. I am just focused completely on the scene, completely on the acting, and it's really liberating, actually.
Well, I want to get to something. We have a question. I do want to come back at some point to talk about Montreal, how lucky we are in Montreal to have this, this industry that supports acting in video games. But first, this gentleman has a question. Can you tell us your name?
Hello, my name is Brian. I'm from FranklinArmstrong.com. So I had a quick question. Actually, it's kind of multi-layered, but you made references to all the video capture, the mocap, everything. And I know once upon a time, and you guys might know the Seinfeld story where once they started to do syndication and DVDs, there was a whole redoing of the contract. So what happens when you guys do mocap and they have all these hours of captured footage, movements, and everything? What kind of contract do you have to, A, for the game, B, for them reusing it if they want to? Because it's already there, it's stored, it's data.
We're repurposing it.
Repurposing? What kind of arrangement?
So sometimes, I'll say this. What you sign on to do for that game is for that game. If it's used somewhere else without knowledge before, it's everything is checked and tracked in a sense. Like, how do I say this? I did a game once, and then they used that stuff for another game, and I didn't know that I was going to be in that other game, and then I got a whole new set of paychecks, and I was like, oh, I guess I did this game.
Yeah.
But they don't need to check with you, right? They just do it and pay?
They kind of checked.
Okay. They're like, do you want money? You said yes.
It was a very similar character in a very similar game.
Yeah.
And so they needed that stuff. Instead of having me come in again, they just had it. So they used it. And they're like, oh, by the way, we use this. Are you cool with this? Because we're going to pay you anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a very touchy thing. So basically, like, we actually have one of the best agreements to work under video games, like in Canada, through our union, our English union, ACTRA.
Even North America.
Sorry?
Probably all of North America.
Yeah,
no?
yeah, one of the best.
Oh, you're saying
our
in
agreement,
Canada?
we actually
Okay,
have one of the best, if not the best in the world.
I thought you were saying in Montreal
No.
for the rest of
No,
Canada.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
no.
yeah.
So our national agreement that we have to do, so well, basically they pay us a larger sum up front to be able to have use of that material without having to pay us any residuals.
Okay.
And and there's no budging on that because any other city, like no other cities do that. Other agreements around the world, these game companies have use in perpetuity of what they shoot. And so if we try to change that here, then all of a sudden we're cutting ourselves off from work opportunities because those companies will be like, well, we're not going to shoot in Canada, or we're not going to shoot in Montreal because their agreement is less favorable. But the argument that game companies have, which is fair, is that usually games have a relatively short shelf life. Yes, they'll be remastered, and that's when it starts to get a little like, well, if you're remastering it, then shouldn't we also? But they generally, it's like they'll be popular for a few years and then they're done. Often. Majority of games.
I'd love to switch gears a little bit and talk about movies and favorite movies. You know, stuff that you guys are not necessarily generating and performing, but you know, performances that have inspired you. So I'm wondering if maybe we could go through some of your list of favorite movies.
Movies, Aladdin.
What's your thought on the new one?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting.
As someone whose first answer to favorite movie is Aladdin, I'm surprised you haven't seen it yet. Are you afraid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has anybody seen it here? Okay, what's the take?
Not bad.
Not bad. Okay. Yeah. It's a movie.
Yeah,
Right? Okay. Yeah. And you saw it as well?
Yeah. Aladdin, I have in my mind is more, because it's from childhood, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nostalgia. You
Yeah.
want that same
The-
feeling and.
the acting, Robin Williams and Will Smith are very different. in the way
Robin Williams and Will Smith.
That's the thing.
different,
Robin
yeah.
Williams, like he's a god. He's a legend. There's no touching that. I love Will Smith,
Mhm.
but there's sacred. Like The Lion King, I can't wait to see it. All that. I'm like, better be good, cause better be good.
Yeah. Well, did you like the Jungle Book?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, so if they do the Lion King in the same, with the same caliber.
There's something about like I think Baloo, like so Andy Serkis. I'm gonna name drop. Why not?
Okay.
So I just did this movie called Long Shot that came out recently. Shot here in Montreal for 4 months, then we shot in Colombia for 2 weeks.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Colombia. I play Charlize Theron's personal bodyguard in the White House. Seth Rogen, Charlize, and Andy Serkis, and all these great people. And there's something about Andy Serkis working with this man, looking into his eyes, that is just, he's magical. But he's real, he's so real that you cannot dislike what he does. I can't dislike what he does. All the Planet of the Apes movies, he's really before his time in many ways. And I think the Jungle Book for me had a lot to do with his presence in it.
Right.
But
And how he influenced everything.
he understands mocap is not like I put on a suit, I'm naked in a lycra tennis ball thing. So like he is like he's not playing a character, he is the character.
Although
Be
I
it King
was,
Kong or Caesar or Baloo or whatever, right?
but then I was blown away by him in, he's a big motherfucker. In, which?
Black Panther?
Oh, yeah, that's right, it was Black Panther. I was amazed.
Yeah.
He was like,
That's not his real body though.
oh,
No, he's
is that mocap as well?
No, he's like padded.
No, oh.
Yeah. Like he's muscular, but he's not like
Yeah?
it's not all him. I mean, I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
I've seen him in person, so he's not that big.
We have 5 minutes left. This has gone by so fast. But you mentioned Long Shot. You and I were talking about Seth Rogen before.
Yeah.
Talk to me. I'll admit, sometimes we all have our doppelganger celebrities. And I get one of two. Either it's hangover, good-looking guy.
Zach Galifianakis.
No, fuck you. Yeah, sometimes I get Bradley Cooper, I'm like, yes!
Yeah.
And then sometimes I get Seth Rogen, and lovely man, lovely actor, but the premise of his movies is like, she's gonna have sex with him? So, it's not necessarily always but he seems like a super awesome.
Super nice guy, super sweet, great guy. I would work with him again. Hey, Zach.
What are some? Well, wait. You haven't named favorite movies.
Lord of the Rings trilogy. Matrix is my Bible. Karina.
Wow, that's a left field.
Yeah, it's like Whoopi Goldberg back in the day. I love most things. I like good things. That's
I love most things. I like good things. Okay. Hashtag. What about you, Amber?
Well, I'll just talk about what I'm watching right now because there's too many movies to name that I love. So actually, series Big Little Lies.
Mhm.
I love how TV has evolved to be what it is.
The golden
I'm
age.
just
A new golden age.
loving this.
Mm.
But I'm a huge fan of Reese Witherspoon, and I aspire to be like that. I want to produce awesome female-driven content. And also Jean-Marc Vallée.
It's amazing.
He, like, I'm sort of obsessed with this man. Café de Flore, which was shot here, is like one of my all-time favorite films. It really marked me. So yeah.
That was a movie
I wanna
where
work with you.
the use of music in that movie was just so
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
I absolutely love that. And
Yeah.
Jean-Marc Vallée, actually, one of the guests we're going to have upcoming on Depth of Field is a guy named Justin Lachance, who is his go-to editor. So, and the editing in those shows are just
Yeah.
really
Fantastic.
All the great stuff is really happening on TV right now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
More so than movies?
Yeah, for sure.
I saw a movie this week, blew my mind.
Long shot.
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I am excited to see that. No, and we'll talk about this on an upcoming episode. Midsummer. It's a horror movie from the guy who did Hereditary about this gang of friends who go to Sweden for like a midsummer solstice festival. It's fucked up. I highly recommend it. What? Not Netflix. No, it's just out in theaters. So TV is where it's at right now, and you guys do a lot of TV as well.
Yes.
What's the most recent TV project you did?
Coming up later this season, you can catch me on a new series called Nurses on Global and E1 in the States. I play the head nurse at St. Mary's Hospital on Nurses.
Nice. And what?
Bad Blood season 2 on Netflix right now.
Right, you guys are both on Bad Blood, but different seasons.
That's right. I'm in season 1.
Right.
Yeah.
And Bad Blood this is a Netflix series about the Montreal Mafia.
It's airing on Netflix, but it's not a Netflix series.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
a CBC series, right?
It was
Or CTV. It's
City
City,
TV.
yeah.
Yeah, it was City TV and FX. Rogers
Picked up by
initially, and then it
Netflix.
was- yeah.
And about-
But yes, it is about the Montreal mafia, the Rizzuto family, and the corruption in the construction industry.
All played by Sean Bajan.
Yeah, it's,
You know what's-
it's fascinating stuff.
Well, what's interesting is I was upstairs in one of the gaming rooms here, and there's a game. I don't know if this is out yet or if this is just like a beta version or something like that. But and not video games, but like an actual, like a physical board game, and it's called Construction Corruption. And I was like, is this a Montreal thing? That's a really smart idea.
I'm in a musical called Construction Corruption. No.
We actually are living in that game right now.
Exactly.
Spend your time in Montreal during the summer, and you'll be playing that game. Yeah.
We have time for one last question, if there's any. Or
Yeah. Anybody got a final question? Well, wait a minute. We talked about your upcoming TV show. We'll get to you in a sec. Any TV properties coming up, or things that people can watch?
I have a TV movie that's playing right now on Lifetime, but the title gives away the plot.
What?
It's called My Mother's Killer Boyfriend.
Okay.
And I play the mother. So guess what my boyfriend does. Anyway, so that's what I have right now, and I recently did a guest starring role on an episode of Ransom,
Cool.
where I play a narcissistic psychopath.
you're really good.
Thank you.
Your hair looks awesome. No, it's really good stuff.
We do have a question here, and then we'll wrap it up with you guys telling us where all your socials and all that stuff. So.
Hi, my name's Matt. Question about acting and awards. With motion capture for things like movies and TV, do you see that there can be a single, would the award be split into sort of the animators and the actors, or would it be the best character? So it has to be an amalgamation and sort of it would be given to everyone involved.
It's a great question.
Like, I think I immediately think of Andy Serkis in the Oscars so many years that he hasn't been recognized the way he probably should have, because the essence that he brings to these characters is so much more than just an actor and so much a part of what is animated as well. So that's a great question that I do not have the answer to.
Well, we'll leave that one that's the lingering question for us all to go home and ponder. In the meantime, where can people find you? Not only the shows that you're doing, but if they want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
At Amber Goldfarb.
At Amber Goldfarb,
Yeah,
Instagram, Snap. chat.
Everything. I'm not on Snapchat.
Anybody on Snapchat?
I just use Jess's Snapchat.
And what about you, Tristan?
It's at TD Lalla, TD, and my last name Lalla on all things. So yeah.
Right on. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
And wait, I'm on the screen and I'm here and I'm on the screen and I hear myself. That's weird. That's kind of messed up. Welcome back. What do you guys think? I hope you liked it. You know what? I can actually see your reactions because I have
Live reactions.
Oh, can we? That's
so meta.
That's really weird, eh?
God.
Oh wow, that is kind of cool. So let's like do a cool transition where Ben answers the question that we lingered on at the end of the interview.
Yeah, I was just saying to Eric that I think I have I have a pretty firm stance on my opinion about that question. You know, I remember the question first started circulating, maybe not in the mainstream, but like I remember like reading like different people's opinions on the internet, whatever. When the original, maybe even the first example of true performance capture, not motion capture, but real performance capture happened, which was, for my knowledge, Andy Serkis as Gollum in Lord of the Rings, right?
So that's not motion capture?
I think for me the difference between what I understand of regular motion capture and performance capture is the difference between like just a person, like a stunt person, or maybe even someone who works in the animation studio, putting on a motion capture suit, doing the motions, and then the animators really
brought them to life.
Making the character's performance themselves.
Yep.
As opposed to like Andy Serkis putting on a motion capture suit, but also having the dots all over his face and the camera in his face and everything, and this is what ties into my opinion of this question, and then basically reskinning the actor digitally, but keeping his performance.
I see what you're saying.
His
Okay.
eyebrow goes. If Andy Serkis's eyebrow goes up, Gollum's eyebrow goes up, or Caesar's eyebrow goes up, or King Kong's eyebrow goes up. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the performance choices aren't the animator's choices, it's the actor's choices.
Right.
And the animators are just digitally creating the artwork for what the actor looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's my general understanding of it. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and then that should affect my opinion, absolutely. But I guess going off what I am explaining and basing my definitions on, that's why I do believe, in my opinion, very firmly that that performance capture acting should be considered for acting awards.
But should it be its own category, or should they be?
I don't think it should. Here's why I don't. So let me fully flesh out my explanation.
Okay.
Brad Pitt, at his current age, cannot convincingly, believably play 85-year-old Brad Pitt, nor can he convincingly play 15-year-old Brad Pitt.
Interesting that you choose Brad Pitt.
I know, because this is my example.
Benjamin
but in
Button.
Benjamin Button, with enough makeup, he can play both of those roles.
Right.
But nobody's saying like, nah, that performance is all makeup.
Well, okay. Let me bring up.
But the makeup artists can also equally be nominated for makeup awards at the Oscars. I believe there should be like separate from the special effects awards that already exist. There should be like a digital makeup award. You know what I mean? So it shouldn't interfere with the practical makeup awards, but there should be like a digital makeup award that then would allow. You know, if something is, there should be certain rules that will basically draw a line between what I am describing as performance capture or motion capture, because genuinely, if there is more of a blurred line between like, okay, the actor is doing certain things, but then the animators afterwards are changing the actor's choices, then fine. That's a different story altogether. But if an actor genuinely is making all the choices and the animators afterwards are, well, like I'm saying, it's more of a digital makeup type thing, then I believe they should be eligible for like a digital makeup type award, and the actor should be eligible for their performance capture award. Because
So performance capture, not, in other words, they shouldn't be in the same category as best actor or
no, I don't know. I think they should be.
Oh, you do?
I think they should be.
I like the performance.
I wouldn't have a problem with that either, especially if they called it the Andy Serkis Performance Capture Award at the Oscar. I think that would be a nice way to...
Yeah, Tristan would like that one as well. You know, it makes me think of something else. And even when we were talking about that during the panel, I was thinking about Aladdin and Robin Williams and how he improvised so much of that role, and then they animated around.
Reanimated around that, yeah.
Exactly. And so I think that was maybe one of the first times that was really done to such an extreme. Sure. And so I think it depends on the case. It depends on the actor and how much influence they have on, especially if they're improvising, how much influence they have on the actual story. But I did want to point out that was a great question. There were a lot of really great questions from our audience that day. So, you know, thank you to all of you guys who participated. Thank you to, it's been super cool to do the chat, by the way. I think I should actually have,
it's fun, eh?
I mean, I always have a laptop with me, so I should keep, but while I'm talking, I can't really be looking
it's hard.
at it.
That's the point. That's why we've decided in a lot of our shows to filter the chat through Mission Control, because I think what's so great about, I'm way off topic now, but to toot our own horn, I think what's great about the Beanduck shows is that the hosts, you know, you, Rosie, John, and Julian aren't bogged down with like, what's going on in the chat? Refocus on the guests. What's going on in the chat? Right. Refocus on the game. What's going on in the chat? Refocus on the cosplay. Like, you're doing what you're doing, and we're feeding you, you know, or whoever's at the booth is feeding you.
Toot that horn, buddy.
A certain amount of toot.
I want to do something. We're going to wrap up a bit early because we're shooting a commercial.
Don't tell them. We're shooting a commercial.
We're shooting a commercial.
Eric's going to star in a commercial. It's a Snickers commercial. No, it's not.
So who's my alter ego in the Snickers commercial? Don't say Bradley Cooper or Seth Rogen.
Oh, it has to be somebody else, completely different?
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman.
Okay, well done. I want to play a little bit of, it's not tagline trivia.
Okay.
But it's movie quote trivia.
Okay, let's do it. I think I'll have a better chance at movie quote trivia than tagline trivia.
Now, I should also say, stick around to the end because we're going to reveal who our big guest is next week. And it's a big one. Like, we're talking
Bruce Almighty.
Oscar nominated.
Oh, we haven't started yet? Never mind.
No.
Sorry. Okay.
Oscar nominated, I think he was Oscar nominated.
Very much so.
Like, big A-list star who happened to be in town, and we had a big interview with him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
We will let you guys know at the. Okay, here we go. You ready? So, you quotes. What decade do you want?
Like go anywhere 80s forward. I think I should have a fighting chance.
All right, I'm going 2000s.
Okay.
All right. Easy one. I am a golden god. I am a golden god.
Almost Famous.
Thank you. Okay. How about this one?
He jumps off the roof. It's a great scene.
Okay.
I love that movie, actually.
We can swear, right? See, there's three kinds of people. Dicks, pussies, and assholes. Pussies.
My favorite movie of all time, Team America World Motherfucking Police.
Well,
baby.
that didn't take long at all. Okay, I like this.
That monologue.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, you gotta watch the Dicks, Pussies, and Assholes monologue, man. If you haven't seen that movie, at least YouTube. At least YouTube. Team America World Police.
Dicks, pussies, and assholes.
Like it's. Like, if you think about it, it's like, ha ha ha, crap humor, nah. Like, but if you actually listen to that dialogue, it's really intelligent.
Yeah.
It's very well written. That is the movie I've seen most in theaters. I saw Team America World Police 8 times in theaters.
In theaters?
And on 2 separate days, I saw it twice in one day, those 2 days.
Wow.
Loved
Okay.
it.
That's
Loved
pretty good. I got a good one for you.
I have no class.
But should we read that quote? Because it's a great quote.
Read the whole quote.
Okay. So there's 3 kinds of people. Dicks, pussies, and assholes. Pussies think everyone...
Wait, can I read it?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, right over here.
No, I wish I did. I should. I'm going to get this tattooed on my back.
It's a long one.
There's 3 kinds of people. Dicks, pussies, and assholes. Pussies think everyone can get along. And dicks just want to fuck all the time without thinking it through. But then you got your assholes, Chuck. And all the assholes want to do is shit all over everything. So pussies may get mad at dicks once in a while because pussies get fucked by dicks. But dicks also fuck assholes, Chuck. And if they didn't fuck the assholes, you know what you'd get? You'd get your dick and your pussy all covered in shit. But you know what? And that's a character in a bar first making that analogy to the main character, but then the main character reuses the analogy to do a big, like, incredible moment, like monologue at the end of the film, and that one's even better than that original monologue.
I got another great one.
Okay. I'm sorry, I completely derailed the game. Please, continue.
You know how I know that you're gay? How? You like the movie Made in Manhattan. How do you know you're... you know how I know you're gay?
You
how?
like Coldplay.
I saw I saw you make spinach dip in a loaf of sourdough bread once. You know how I know you're gay? How? You have a rainbow bumper sticker on your car that says, "I love it when balls are in my face." That's gay?
Well, I know what this is from.
Of course you know what this is from. I'll give you a hint. Judd Apatow. An early Apatow. Yes, that's right.
It's 40-Year-Old Virgin?
It's 40-Year-Old Virgin. Great movie as well.
Because then he says that, right? Because you like Coldplay. And I laughed out loud in the theater because I'm like, I do like Coldplay.
I was mad that they made fun of Michael McDonald in that movie. But that's me. I love me some Michael McDonald. We're going to do one more.
Okay.
One more. Now, where was I? No, that's sorry.
It's so vague.
I'm a man of constant sorrow. I've seen trouble all my days. I bid farewell to old Kentucky, the place where I was born and raised. The place where he was born and raised.
Is that Walk the Line?
No, it might as well have been. Oh, brother, where art thou? A little bit of Cohen Brothers for you.
Fine, fair enough, yeah.
All right.
Fine, fair enough.
I like quote trivia. I think that's it. It might take over from tagline trivia.
Well, you could just like go back and forth
Yeah.
every once in a while, you know.
So, should we do it? Should we make the big announcement?
Tell the people.
You guys are going to want to tune in next week because we pulled some strings, we made some calls.
Eric pulled some strings.
Some spaghetti strings. And we had a long, about 15, 20-minute long sit-down interview with one Jesse Eisenberg.
Oscar nominated for his performance in The Social Network.
Social Network, yeah, exactly.
As Mark Zuckerberg himself.
And the interview, the flow was so good that I didn't even get to my question about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So now he's promoting a movie that is premiering at Fantasia
next week.
Actually, this week here in Montreal. But
you're right,
it opens next week. But it's premiering at Fantasia. It's called The Art of Self-Defense. It is a dark comedy, like a really dark comedy. You should check out the trailer. And then next week we'll have the interview in full. So we'll do a little bit like we did today. We'll start off with a bit of a chat. Yes, that's right. Thank you, the Emerald 97. Yes. I don't want to say yes, that's right, I rock. But yes, it was very cool that we got Jesse Eisenberg, and he was very gracious, and we talked about all kinds of things.
He was such a cool guy.
Even his favorite music. You'll be surprised to find out what his favorite band is. See if you can guess. I'll participate on the chat as we play it, and I think it's going to be a blast. So
it's going to be an amazing episode.
So tune in next week. Jesse Eisenberg sits down with me for Depth of Field. Don't forget, so Cosplay Cave tomorrow. Are we doing a recap of Comic-Con as well?
No. We've got two guests on tomorrow.
Oh, great.
Right?
Okay.
Two amazing cosplay guests. Coulette
Bital.
No.
Bitag. Coulette Bitag and somebody else. Or Julian. Okay. Soulette and Bitag. Anyways, it's going to be an awesome show. I love cosplay now, and I love Lou Ferrigno. Lou, this one's for you. And I love Jesse Eisenberg, and I love you.
Hey, I love you too.
And I love you, and I love you, and I love everyone. And so it's a love fest. Big thanks to all of you guys for chiming in on the chat, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Beanduck, fuck yeah.
Coming to save the motherfucking day, yeah, Beanduck.